Prince Harry, being back in the UK for the second day of his legal battle against Associated Newspapers Limited, is not just another court appearance. It is a moment that exposes a much bigger and far more serious issue, one that goes beyond tabloid misconduct and straight into the question of safety, responsibility and basic fairness. As Harry walks into a British courtroom, he is doing so without the certainty that he will be adequately protected in the very country that calls itself his home. Since stepping back as a working royal alongside Meghan Markle, Prince Harry no longer receives automatic round-the-clock, taxpayer-funded armed protection from Scotland Yard. That protection was removed not because the risks disappeared, not because the threats evaporated, but because his role changed. Yet the danger did not change with a job title. If anything, the risks increased. Every visit Harry makes to the UK now requires him to apply for security through the Home Office on a case-by-case basis. This is not only impractical, it is deeply unsafe. Security decisions are not something that should be improvised or negotiated in real time, especially for someone with Harry's profile, history, and very real threat landscape. The Royal and VIP Executive Committee, known as RAVEC, is now reviewing his security arrangements after a direct request from Harry to the Home Secretary. Importantly, RAVEC has asked its Risk Management Board to reassess Harry's threat level for the first time since 2020. That detail alone tells you everything you need to know. His risk assessment has not been properly updated in 5 years. 5 years in a world that has become more volatile, more polarized, and more dangerous. Prince Harry has long argued that any security decision should be based on current threats, not outdated assumptions. That is not special treatment. That is common sense. What is striking is that even voices who are not usually aligned with Harry are now acknowledging the legitimacy of his case. Writing in Hello magazine, royal author Robert Jobson laid out 3 major reasons why Prince Harry is deserving of taxpayer-funded security. This is not a Sussex Squad talking point. This is coming from within traditional royal commentary circles. One of the most important points Jobson raises is that Harry did not choose to be born into this position. He did not choose to be 6th in line to the throne. He did not choose the global attention, the press obsession, or the lifelong exposure. This is not a celebrity who chased fame. This is a man born into it, with no opt-out clause. Critics often argue that Harry made choices that put him at risk, particularly by speaking openly in his memoir Spare about his military service in Afghanistan. The line about killing 25 Taliban fighters and describing them as chess pieces taken off the board sparked global controversy. That controversy, however, is frequently weaponized in bad faith. What is often left out is context. Harry was a serving soldier speaking honestly about the psychological framing used in combat to survive war. Many veterans have said similar things in far less scrutinized settings. The outrage was selective, amplified, and deeply political. Former Army officer Cole Richard Kemp suggested that Harry's comments may have undermined his security and provoked retaliation. But this argument ignores a critical reality. The threats against Harry did not begin with Spare. They existed long before. They existed when he was a teenager. They existed when his mother was alive. They existed when he wore a uniform, and they exist now. Harry did not create his risk profile by telling his story. His risk profile was created by birth, by history, by the institution he was born into, and by the media ecosystem that has profited from him since childhood. In 2023, Harry submitted a written witness statement to the High Court that should have ended this debate entirely. He wrote that the UK is his home, that it is central to the heritage of his children, that it is a place he wants them to feel at home as much as where they live in the United States. And then he said something that cuts to the heart of this issue. That cannot happen if it is not possible to keep them safe when they are on UK soil. I cannot put my wife in danger like that. And given my experiences in life, I am reluctant to unnecessarily put myself in harm's way. That is not entitlement. That is a husband and father speaking plainly about responsibility. Prince Harry has repeatedly said that the UK feels unsafe for his family since leaving in 2020. And anyone paying attention understands why. Meghan Markle was subjected to unprecedented levels of harassment, racialized abuse and media hostility while living in Britain. There were documented threats. There were security breaches. There were warnings that were not taken seriously. Expecting Harry to bring Meghan and their children back into that environment without guaranteed protection is not just unreasonable. It is reckless. Former Senior Royal Protection Officer Ken Worf has now publicly changed his stance. He told Hello magazine that given the current political climate, the publicity of recent years, and the fact that King Charles is not in the best of health, it would be wrong not to give Harry full Scotland Yard protection. That statement matters. This is someone who understands the system from the inside. He went further, saying the fallout would be huge if anything were to go wrong. And he is absolutely right. The state would not be able to explain how it justified denying adequate protection to the son of a reigning monarch, a global figure, and a known security target, especially when that denial came after repeated warnings. Ken Worf also said he has changed his view from when Harry first left for California because of the current volatile state of the world. That is another key point. The world of 2020 is not the world of today. Threats evolve. Extremism evolves. Online hate translates into real-world danger at alarming speed. Security decisions frozen in time are dangerous decisions. Harry is expected to be in Birmingham for the 1 year to go celebrations, marking the Invictus Games kick-off this summer. The Invictus Games are not just a sporting event. They are Harry's life work. They represent healing, resilience, and global impact for wounded service members. Harry hopes to have Meghan by his side, but that decision may depend entirely on whether Ravek finally does the right thing. This is where the cruelty of the situation becomes clear. Harry is being asked to choose between his work and his family's safety. That is not a choice anyone should have to make. Meghan is not refusing to come to the UK out of spite or drama. She is protecting herself and her children, something the system failed to do in the past. Let us also be clear about what Harry is actually asking for. He is not demanding permanent residency-level protection. He is asking for professional, properly coordinated security while he is in the UK. Security that has access. Security that can plan. Security that does not rely on informal liaison arrangements that leave dangerous gaps. This is not about privilege. It is about parity. Other high-risk individuals receive state protection when the threat level warrants it. Harry's threat level is not hypothetical. It is documented. The idea that Harry should privately fund his own armed police protection has already been ruled impractical. Metropolitan police officers cannot simply be hired like private guards. Security requires state coordination. This is not a luxury service. It is a public safety matter. There is also a moral dimension that cannot be ignored. Harry served his country. He served on the front lines. He wore the uniform. He did not walk away from duty. He expanded it. Through Invictus, through mental health advocacy, through speaking honestly about trauma. Punishing him for choosing independence does not make the institution look strong. It makes it look vindictive. And then there is Meghan Markle, the woman at the centre of so much of this hostility. Meghan did not ask for this level of exposure. She did not ask to become a lightning rod for Britain's unresolved issues. Yet she has carried herself with dignity, built a life, raised her children, and supported her husband as he confronts systems that failed him. Harry's refusal to put Meghan in danger is not weakness. It is growth. It is what breaking generational cycles looks like. The media will continue to frame this as Harry complaining, as Harry demanding, as Harry causing trouble. But the reality is much simpler. Harry is asking for the same thing any responsible parent would ask for. Safety. The UK government now has a decision to make. Not just about one man's security, but about accountability. About whether lessons have truly been learned. About whether history is allowed to repeat itself under the excuse of bureaucracy. Because if anything were to go wrong, no amount of hindsight statements would be enough. The warnings are already on record. The risks are already acknowledged. The world is watching. Prince Harry should not have to fight for safety in his own country. Meghan Markle should not have to fear stepping foot in a place she once called home. Their children should not grow up associating Britain with danger. This is not about status, it is about humanity. And at this moment, as Harry sits in court seeking justice from the press, while also waiting for a decision that could determine his family's future in the UK, one thing is undeniable. He is not asking for too much. He is asking for what should have always been guaranteed: protection, responsibility, and the basic right to come home safely.